Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of all of you who are not familiar with the channel, or perhaps you're watching this channel for the very first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we talk about everyday issues and then we try to come with logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. For that reason, it is called uncommon sense. I just want to let everybody know that currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. As always, I give a huge shout out to everyone who have subscribed to my channel. I also give a huge shout out to all those who watch me and follow me on a regular basis, and also those who allow me to enter in your devices. And I just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate all the love and all the support all of you have given me. Now, if you have not done so, what I'm going to ask that you do the following. Please subscribe, like as you enter, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever uh, I do prepare content, you will have the opportunity to either catch it live or catch it on the playback. Um, as you can see on the thumbnail, the topic for tonight is the society places unreasonable expectations on men. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to explore the topic. Before we do that, I just want to talk about this past weekend, which is known as the Labor Day weekend, and and for many is the unofficial end of summer. So many people do many ways during during this weekend. Some people decide to go to the beach to get into to catch the waves the last time before autumn comes. Others decide to go to the pool and swim. There are others who decide to have cookouts and barbecues and whatnot. And then there are those who will travel to visit family and loved ones. Okay. I want to acknowledge the fact that there's currently two people watching the stream. I just want to say thank you very much. For my part, had a great weekend. Okay. First of all, Saturday I did something I haven't done in 3 years, which was actually go see a movie. The last time I went to see a movie was in 2019, which was before all the situation with COVID-19 and all the lockdowns and the quarantines and all of that. So, and here in New York, um, it was National Movie Day, which meant that you were able to go see a film, any type of film that you wish, for only $3. So of course I decided to take advantage of it, and for me it was a nice, healthy diversion to not think about the cares and worries of everyday life and to simply um, sit down and enjoy a good movie. And then Sunday, um, I went to Connecticut to visit with family, and we had a barbecue. And most of the family went, and I did load a couple some images on the channel and also on Facebook. And yesterday, which was actually Labor Day, I actually worked. Why? So I could earn some extra money and whatnot. So and the whole purpose of Labor Day, of course, is to honor um, the achievements of the working man. But enough being said, what I'm going to do is just give me a moment. I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat. If anyone wishes to join the panel, then may do so. As always, I do request that please be respectful. Now tonight, what of course I'll continue to do is use the subscriber mode, meaning anyone who wishes to enter a comment in the chat must be a subscriber. Okay? And again, what I ask that you bear in mind that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to my channel. And I would appreciate it very much. Now, with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the topic. Just give me a moment. Okay. So as I indicated, the topic for tonight is: does society places unrealistic expectations on men? Um, Lately, within the last, say, 20 or 30 years, there's been a great deal of expectations placed on men for us to conduct ourselves in a certain way. And many times, those expectations are not realistic. Um, so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some unrealistic expectations, okay, that society um, and society could be you and me, or it could be um, the expectations that modern women place on men. Okay. Now, I'm on the I'm on the unrealistic expectations that are placed on men, particularly when it comes to some women. And again, let me make this perfectly clear. I am saying some women place unrealistic expectations on men, not all. So please do not get upset um, when I discuss this topic. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. Unfortunately, um, you have some women that expect men to have the following: that we are supposed to be 6 feet tall, we're supposed to have a six pack, and we're supposed to earn a six-figure income. Realistically speaking, not many of us do that. Okay, I mean, most of us are just regular working men working 9 to 5. Also, some women expect us to be perfect. Some women expect men to be the traditional male, which is be the protector, the breadwinner, and tend cater to every conceivable whim that some women have. But heaven forbid if we place any expectations regarding with women what we expect, automatically it is believed that we are toxic, that we're that we are anti female, that we're misogynist and whatnot. Now, let me just give you some of the unrealistic expectations that men have to face with. Okay, starting with men are not allowed to cry. Okay, um, it may come to you as a shock with some people, but men are human beings too, and we have a lot of emotions that we go through. And I see here we have Golden Goddess in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you on the platform and whenever you're able to join the panel. Okay? And I just want to let everybody know that Golden Goddess does have her own channel. So I'm going to ask that if you've not done so, please subscribe and check out her material. I think you're going to find her material to be very interesting. Sometimes it can get a little spicy, particularly when she is spilling the tea. But it's all in good fun. And I see here we also have other people trying this. We of course we have the presence of Reese from Philly. Good evening, sir. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. And then we also have the presence of Pokemon 2.0. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. I don't know if you're male or female, but in any case, thank you very much for your um, shout out and what have you. Now, now as far as men on the I mean, men will cry regarding certain situations, just like women will cry when we're dealing with the loss of a loved one. Sometimes men will cry, just like women will cry. Also, when we are hurt or when we are betrayed by someone who we trust very much, it's logical. At times we're going to feel sad, and it's logical that we're going to cry. Unfortunately, um, people, when they see men cry, they look at it as a sign of weakness. I don't share that view. In fact, if anything, sometimes when we cry, we are receiving healing because what we're doing is really letting um, anger, frustration, and hurt to be released in a constructive way. And well, okay, there are times to cry in private. There's also times to cry in public, mainly in funerals and whatnot. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Okay. Now, another unrealistic expectation that are placed on men is that we're not allowed to show our feelings. Now, it's okay. Now, in many ways, men are considered to be logical, analytical. Um, we are perceived to try to solve problems. However, we do deal with other emotions. Sometimes we have anger. Sometimes we have frustration. Okay, so it's perfectly okay to show emotions. The thing is, make sure that you put your emotions in check, okay? And don't be led completely by emotions. We need to have some rationale and some logic, okay? Another unrealistic expectation is men are supposed to be perfect. Um, to be perfectly honest, there's no such thing as a perfect human being. Why? Because we all have our own cares, worries, expectations, frustrations. So we're going to make mistakes. The key is to learn from those mistakes and to do better. And has also has to do when it comes to dating. Okay, even though we're not talking about dating per se, but I mean, there's certain people that have a checklist what they want their partner to be, and sometimes that checklist could be extensive and long, particularly when it's in the big when they're young. And let's see, we have another comment. So the problem is the manual society is leadership, and if you allow yourself to be emotional, no one will trust you, and you provide that stability better yet with the emotional often. Okay, there's a time and a place for everything. Um, I truly believe that many times it's a time for us to be logical and to be rational. And we cannot let ourselves to be completely controlled by our emotions. And of course, we also have the presence of the 18th letter. Good evening, Rocky. Thank you very much for stopping by. And I just want to let everybody know that the 18th letter also has a YouTube channel. I know that lately he has not been able to produce any content due to his busy schedule, but there are content there, and I'm going to ask that if you have not done so, please subscribe and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever he does prepare content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Okay. Now another issue that men deal with is that society, well, some aspects of society discourages men to undergo to seek therapy. Okay, and this is partly due to the mindset that men are tough, men that cannot be emotional, men must be stoic. Okay, while men can be tough, men can be stoic. However, at times we go through our trials and tribulations. And we have another comment from Pokemon 2.0 says, emotional men can equal open can of worms and for others and do not have any respect. The goal is to be structured enough not to be triggered constantly, therefore not to get emotional often. And to be perfectly honest, what you do say does make a great deal of sense. One thing that a healthy male should have is a relatively thick skin and to be able to take on the blows of life and the criticisms of life. However, there are weak men out there, okay? And one thing that therapy does do, it helps us to focus on what are our issues, how we can address those issues, and overcome those issues. So there is a time and a place for therapy, okay? And we must strive to be the best version of ourselves. First of all, we owe it to ourselves to be healthy physically, mentally, and yes, spiritually as well. Okay, we owe that to ourselves. We owe that to the people who we love. We owe that to our friends and neighbors because we are looked on as leaders, and a person cannot lead if they cannot control themselves. Okay, so we're going to talk about some other issues. Today, um, if men decide to express their point of view with some women, they're considered to be very toxic. Now, I do not fully understand why. I mean, I think part of the problem is that we have to acknowledge the fact that everyone has their own point of view. Okay, not we're not gonna always agree with what other people think or say, and that's perfectly understandable. I mean, you can get 10 people together, and you're going to get 10 different views. That is the reality. Okay. Of course, I said this before, and I'll say it again. One person has some truth, another person has other truth, and then mixing together is the actual truth. Okay. Another issue where we have to deal with is there is at times what appears to be a double standard. Okay, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I mean. It's perfectly acceptable for some modern women to express what they look for in a man, and sometimes they have very high expectations, which are normally that the man earns a six-figure income. He must be physically fit, okay, which means no wrinkles, muscular, strong, and what have you. And men are expected to be vetted fully, okay. However, if we approach some women and we ask them what they bring to the table, then some of these women get upset, they get emotional, what have you. Also, another double standard is this: um, men are supposed to be perfect and flawless in any way. However, we need to accept women with all their multiple flaws. And if men choose to state a preference, they're ostracized for it. Why? Simply for the fact that they're expressing a point of view, simply because they're expressing um, a preference. Now, if women can have preferences as far as who they date, who they will hook up, so to speak, or get or wish to pursue a serious relationship, men can do so as well. Okay. Unfortunately, um, for some people, that is an odd concept. So let's see. What I'm going to know, I see here that there's 6 people currently watching this stream. I just want to say, first of all, thank you very much. I know there's going to be some people that are going to catch it on the playback. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I have some articles which I'm going to share with you. Okay. Now, I came across an article that was published on June 27th of this year, and it came from WebMD, and the topic is gender roles. And it was written by Julian, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Solomon. Okay. Gender roles are stereotypes regarding attitudes, attributes, and actions imposed on men and women based on gender. These kinds of preconceptions are usually harmful to society Yet understanding what they are and their history is crucial to overcome them. Okay. Now, gender stereotypes are set of preconceptions regarding the role of a certain gender in society. These characteristics are then attributed to every person of that gender, often causing individual harm and distress. Gender roles perpetuate inequality and greatly affect minorities that may not be in a position to reject those stereotypes. Although, at first glance, many of these gender stereotypes may not seem harmful, they often cause damage in some way. Anyways, for example, a common stereotype is that women should be nurturing mothers and caregivers. While this may sound not too bad, it can lead women to be excessively burdened with social responsibilities. Um, I don't agree completely with that statement, but it is something to think about. And generally, when we do think of women, they are considered to be the nurturers because after all, they're the ones that, um, for most of our recorded history, um, usually stay home and usually um, spend time and energy with the children, with the social mores and whatnot. And it's only within the last 100 years or so where women have been out in the workforce. So another common other common gender roles are much more hurtful and discriminatory, such as men having sexual ownership over their wives. Naturally, these aggressive stereotypes have been getting less and less prevalent, yet they're still common in certain parts of the world. Just to give you some feedback, when I discuss my stream regarding feminism in its original content, I did discuss the fact that as 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 late as the 70s, um, women were obligated to engage in intercourse with their husbands if they did not want to, and that's something we must bear in mind. Whether a specific stereotype is aggressive or not at first glance, they all cause similar amounts of damage in the long run. Gender role related consequences can show up in many ways. For example, often little girls are deprived of going to school due to their gender. Other similar gender related problems often affect hospitals and workplaces. Um, in some countries where it's more conservative, women are now encouraged to pursue their education and to pursue constructive, productive careers and whatnot. Yet, arguably, the biggest problem with gender roles comes from the form of gender based violence. Attacks on women can be motivated by sexual or ideological reasonings, but many of them stem from hurtful gender roles and stereotypes. Now we're going to be talking about what causes gender roles. Okay, and again, if anyone wishes to um, join the panel, the link is in the chat. Anyone is also welcome to enter any comments in the chat as well. The only thing I ask is let's try to keep it respectable. Experts often discuss the origin of gender roles. While many attribute them to biological factors, others point out that it all comes from sociological aspects. Whatever may be the case, it's clear that gender roles as we know them today mostly originated during the Victorian era. Um, the Victorian era, which comprises most of the 19th century, was characterized by strong ideas regarding the roles of each gender in society. Mostly men were expected to present themselves in public spheres such as politics and business. Women were expected to stay home taking care of the private sphere. While not all women and men abided by these stereotypes, the majority of them did, meaning that those who did not were seen in a bad light. For example, the term new woman was often used to insult women who fought for their rights to higher education and voting. Eventually, different areas across all continents started rejecting colonialism, embracing new ideals regarding gender roles in society, because pre-colonial societies often had men and women working together. The new Victorian ideology was strongly rejected. This way, many movements came together, merging political and economic claims along with gender-related ideas. Another key element in the history of gender stereotyping is Marxism, which is the cornerstone of many postmodern philosophies. Marx, in his theory, saw all humans as equal without regardless of gender or class, along with nationalism, which also embraced new gender roles. These phenomena came together gradually toppled Victorian gender stereotypes. For example, figures like Lady Liberty came to represent partly the proposed new freedom for women. However, this battle was not entirely successful. Gender stereotypes still prevalent across modern society as Victorian gender roles have not fully disappeared yet. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about what are some modern examples of gender roles in society. Gender roles vary greatly depending on where you live, as stereotypes differ among countries and cultures. However, there is a few general guidelines you can keep in mind. These are some of the most common gender stereotypes. Women in the kitchen. One of the most common and hurtful stereotypes that women should be the ones taking care of the cooking. For example, while men are expected to leave the house to work a job, women are expected to welcome them back with prepared meals. Okay. Um, Today, I mean, to keep it real, um, due to the cost of living, many times it's necessary that both the male and the female work to, and then they pull their incomes together so they can provide a decent life for themselves. Domestic chores. In the same vein, some society also expect women to take care of most of the chores related to the household because they should be the ones staying home at home. Things like cleaning, taking care of the kids, and similar tasks fall to them. Okay. It's one thing to expect the women to stay home and do the household chores, but men, we can help out. We can do some of the household chores. Okay, I get it. We're tired when we worked a long day. The last thing you want to do is to do any physical activity. But guys, if we come home first before our female counterpart, it doesn't hurt us to do some of the chores like take out the garbage, wash the dishes, dry the dishes, do the laundry, help out with meal preparation, or even start preparing meals. Just some things to think about, folks. Now we're going to be talking about masculinity. The idea of masculinity is a stereotype imposed on men. They are expected to be strong, muscular, and tall. Personality wise, this stereotype dictates men should be dominant and aggressive, never leaving room for more measured or sensible thoughts. Okay. Um, that type of thinking may have been okay 50 or 60 years ago, but let's keep it real. When it comes to the word submission, for certain women, it's an offensive term because they get the concept where that means they have to be treated as doormats and men could do whatever they want. Okay. So now we're going to be talking about work and aspirations. Men are expected to occupy hard and public jobs, while women are thought as being more suited for nurturing jobs. For example, one might think men as pilots or doctors, while women may be expected to be nurses or teachers. Naturally, this is not a full list of the stereotypes. Plus, depending on where you live, some of these may not seem prevalent at all. Yet, these are common stereotypes that have survived the Victoria era despite many battles for gender related freedoms. Okay. Unfortunately, there are some people that do not feel comfortable with women being doctors, women being lawyers, women being professionals, or having white collar jobs. Okay. The fact of the matter is, there are many roles that women can fill, providing they have the training and the education. Now, I'm just going to step away for a moment and I'll be right back. Please excuse the delay. It's just that my throat's getting a little dry, so I just want to get a beverage. Okay. Right now, I'm drinking juice. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to be discussing how do we overcome stereotypes. Okay. And I see right now there are, excuse me, just give me a moment. I see right now that there are currently 7 people viewing this stream. And I just want to say thank you very much for all your. Okay. Just bear with me. And again. Okay. If anyone wishes to join the panel, they may do so. Okay. If anyone has a comment, they may do so. Now I'm just trying. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to be discussing how to overcome gender stereotypes. Just give me a moment to scroll down here. Okay. And again, of course, if anyone disagrees with what being said, they're more than welcome to express their point of view. Now, overcoming the gender roles assigned to you can be a difficult task, yet it's an important step to avoid feeling oppressed by these topics. Speaking out at work when you notice discrimination and sharing your story can be helpful for both you and the victims. If you find yourself unable to accomplish that, supporting campaigns that share these ideas is a great way to help. One of the most important aspects of overcoming gender roles is education. Children are sensitive to ideas such as stereotypes, so it's crucial to make them understand that though teaching and playing that women and men are equal. Excuse me. As a parent, you can try to do the following. Let your child play with a toy regardless of the assigned gender. For the activity, trucks are commonly, for example, are commonly thought as boys only thing, but can be enjoyed by girls as well. Assigning chores equally among your children. For example, try letting your son cook and let your daughter help you with fixing something. Join your children in activity that's not usually associated with your gender. If you're a man, you can try to get your nails done with your daughter. Um, it's one thing to trim your nails, but other than that, that's just my own personal viewpoint. Give an example on how to deal with gender stereotypes. Many people are used to not giving respect to an authority figure if she's a woman. So try giving the opposite example. It's normal to feel that these changes aren't making a difference. However, in the long run, all these attitudes matter. Through a constant battle against gender roles, society may one day be able to break free of harmful stereotypes that opposes both men and women. So that's something to think about, people. Okay. Now I have been talking for almost 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share another article which happened to do with gender equity. Okay. And again, people, I would appreciate it if you have a view, by all means, do not be shy and share them. Okay. And if we disagree, that's perfectly fine. The key is to be agreeable when we disagree. Okay. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay. So okay. Now okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define what does it mean by gender. The term gender refers to the economic, cultural, and cultural attributes and opportunities associated with being male or female. In most societies, being a man or woman is not simply a matter of different biological and physical characteristics. Men and women face different expectations about how they should dress, behave, or work. Relations between men and women, whether in the family, the workplace, or the public sphere, also reflect understandings of the talents, characteristics, and behaviors appropriate to men and women. Gender thus differs from sex in that it is social and cultural in nature rather than biological. Gender attributes and characteristics encompassing inter alia the role that men and women play and the expectation placed upon them vary widely among societies and change over time. But the fact that gender attributes are socially constructed means that they're also amenable to change in ways that can make society more just and equitable. Okay? So something to think about. Now we're going to talk about the difference between gender equity, and women's empowerment. Gender equity is the process of being fair to women and men. To ensure fairness, strategies and measures must often be available to compensate for women's historical and social disadvantages that prevent women and men from otherwise operating on a level playing field. Equity leads to equity Gender equity requires equal enjoyment by women and men of socially valued goods, opportunities, resources, and rewards. Where gender inequity exists is generally women who are excluded or disadvantaged in relation to decision making, access to economic and social resources. Therefore, a critical aspect of promoting gender equity is the empowerment of women with a focus on identifying and redressing power imbalances and giving more women autonomy to manage their own lives. Gender equity does not mean that men and women become the same, only that access to opportunity in life changes is neither dependent on nor constrained by their sex. Achieving gender equity requires, okay, what I'm going to do, okay, I'm not going to read the entire article. Uh, Basically, the gist is, that both men and women should have equal opportunities. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share one more article uh, written by Joy Nash um, in 2016. Um, and then after that, hopefully, people will join the panel. If no one joins the panel, then after a while, I'll start to wrap it up. Okay. It could be that many people, will watch it on the playback, which is perfectly fine, because it has to, there is time when people are busy. Okay. I have personally been pressured to behave and dress more traditionally feminine. You know what? I'm not going to share this article, okay, because it's not really appropriate. But I'm going to give you my take. And then after that, if no one joins the panel, I'll start to wrap it up. It is true that there are a lot of expectations placed on men. Some of them realistic, others are not. So I think part of the key is to learn to make a distinction. Also, each one of us must feel comfortable in who we are as individuals. Okay. While it is true that men are expected to be the protectors, the builders, um, to bring structure into existence, it's also reality that we do have um, our shortfalls, our shortcomings, our fears, and what have you. The key is how to deal with them, and the key is not to be so overwhelmed with emotion, but to try to analyze each situation and come to a solution. Because men are also known to be problem solvers. At least men who are mentally sound, who are fully aware and self confident. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down the link one more time. If no one else wishes to join, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop to wrap this up. and I'm going to start to discuss what's going to be the topic um, for Thursday. Now, this is my attempt to discuss issues pertaining to men. And the reason why is that the issues that we deal with are very unique to us. Now, I see here we have a guest. So, and of course, the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host or the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host or the channel is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your right to the images on your channel and to your image. Some of the views that people might hold might be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now I'm going to bring in my guest.
Oh, sir.
Okay. Good evening.
Buenas noches, don José. ¿Cómo está?
Ay, muy bien. ¿Usted cómo está?
Está bien, tú sabes. Y
Sí.
I actually believe in what you're saying about, I guess, on the constraints of men and everything like that, because I just came in, so you know.
Yeah. Well, basically, we have cer- we have certain expectations that society has placed on us men,
Yes.
and some of them are not realistic at all.
I mean,
Okay.
yes. It's fun. It's funny because it's like, all right, now when you actually talk about being a man, it's getting to the point when what being a man was like maybe from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like how your generation and my generation grew up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a man doesn't do a certain thing, he's not considered a man. I'm like, it's like, for example, I was watching an FB one of the Facebook posts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy that went up and I guess made a statement which to me was stupid. They were saying if a man takes a bath, well he's unmanly. I'm like no offense to a certain group of people that do that, but only those people do that. Not people in America. I don't see how a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you didn't take a man didn't take a bath for 6 days. How you a man not knowing that you didn't take a bath for 6 days is going to approach a woman and say, "Yeah, I'm a man." The next thing you know, she's going to say, "Yeah, you're funky." You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So
But you
it's
know
like,
something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but I'll just put that out there because that's just one of the unrealistic expectations about certain men, but of men. But then you have certain people who are trying to make certain things the norm, which was not the norm in your generation or my father's generation or anything like that. And I'm real sure that it's not going to be the norm now. But yet they're trying to make everything like the new male standard, and I have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go with society's expectation, it's like, okay, like there's certain stuff I don't agree with. Well, first of all, in this day and age and stuff, they're like, if a man who's comfortable with his sexuality or whatever the case may be, he could be comfortable to wear a dress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, no offense, but I was raised not to wear a dress, and I don't feel that I have to be secure in my manhood just to wear a dress. That's my opinion. But then you have certain people that will try to put certain standards into, okay, what is the modern day male, and certain people are actually rebelling, or in each other case, they're like, hold up, this is not like our standards that I know or what I've known men to actually do. So it's like, how should I say? It's like a war within ideas now in the society on what should be acceptable and what's not supposed to be acceptable.
Hmm. Well, to be perfectly honest, during my younger days, when I was growing up, say in the 70s, in the 80s, and what have you, I mean, we were discouraged to seek therapy because simply discussing, trying to seek therapy automatically didn't assume that you are insane. Okay,
Yes.
and to be perfectly honest, what's true insanity is that when you have a problem and you choose not to address it.
I mean, yeah, because it's to the point that certain is certain people that I guess you have to go out the box or whatever. And talking about when it's especially dealing with us Caribbeans, I'm not talking about only Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, but I'm saying etc. Because I've talked to a Jamaican friend. Like in
Hmm.
the in the crux of the Caribbean, people do not understand. Okay, what mental health is. They'll actually try to write you off as crazy, but yet when they try to write you off as crazy, they do not have like a type definition of it. So they'll be like, okay, he's crazy. Okay, so if he's crazy, what does he have? They will not answer that, but yet they will insist, like deep down inside or whatever, oh, that you're crazy. But yet the thing is, though, they do not want to have the root problem. They'll try to vilify that you're crazy and such, to the point that certain people will just go along with it because they do not know any better.
I mean, it's like discussing a topic, a thing, a term, but yet you don't know what's the true meaning behind the term. I mean, if you take a
Exactly.
look,
And
um,
that's where the ignorance occur.
yeah, I mean, if you take a look at today, we have people that they are discussing terminology, yet they do not have a clue what is the origin of the terminology that they're speaking with. All they're doing is they're just simply repeating what someone else says. So basically, they're like parrots or talking
Yeah.
birds. They're just simply they're just talking what they heard, not bother to sit down and think, okay, what is the true
I'm,
meaning behind
I
the
mean,
words that
I
they.
mean, like for example, you have certain people who are parrots, right? That's I guess what we call them. So therefore, if they meet a person who is different than them and stuff, they want to go with the pseudo science and pseudo how should I say anthropology on how people are supposed to speak and everything like that.
Hmm.
And when certain people they with their pseudo anthropology, they want to generalize on how you speak and everything like that, and you're saying that okay, you're not this, you're not that, or you're not a doctor because you don't use this terminology. It's getting to the point that you got certain people that do not know science at all, but then when science is hitting them in their face of the things that you need to do, they will reject it. They will say that that you're crazy just because you're educated and you actually know some of the stuff that you're talking about. I'm saying as far as science and literature.
Okay. I just want to highlight these two statements that the unknown put in the chat. First of all, good evening, unknown. Thank you very much.
Shout
I
out
think
to
one
the
of the
unknown.
yes, I think one of the issues that men are being raised by their mothers for too long, and at a certain point, your father needs to guide you from age 8 to moving out. And then there is another kind. Now the fathers also need to be in good mental health. But if you want the boy to have a good sense of self, then he needs a man. See, one of the problems that you know we have to deal with is among the consequences of single parents. Many of them women is that the boys lack a positive male influence. So what's going to happen is they're going to grow up with their concept of being a man based on what the women think. And many times the women feel hurt, rejected, scorned, hateful towards men, um, due to the fact that for whatever reason that the baby fathers are not in the picture. Part of the problem is, and I hate to say this, but I have to be, but we got to keep it 100. Is the fact, unfortunately, people have made poor choices regarding relationships are concerned, and as a result, what happens is you have situations where you have broken homes, and that's part of the problem. Is now, no, don't get me wrong. There are some great single moms, but there's also a lot of moms that have been psychological damage and made a lot of poor choices, just like men have made poor choices as well.
Yes,
Hmm. So
it's actually to the point now that let's just say that you have certain forces, like for example, let's say let's say in this scenario that a man is trying to do whatever he can for his child, right? But since the
hmm
woman is so resentful and everything, and I've seen this like throughout life and throughout cinema. Let's say that woman has like maybe 3 or 4 children with different baby fathers, right?
yes.
She'll treat the one that of the baby father, I guess, that treated her right with with so much love and joy and everything like that. But the baby father that she hated, she would treat that child the worst. Like would not give him nothing. Would not care about the child's welfare. Let him be a wild boy and everything like that. Because at the end, her anger towards that man's father affects her child to the point that he don't feel that he's loved.
hmm Okay. I just want to highlight what the unknown also said. That's why I don't support single mothers, because that type of situation shouldn't happen. Men are also responsible. There's always a focus on them, and we baby the women like children. And of course, he also makes the following comment, which is not all single mothers are bad.
No, they're
Okay,
not. I
okay,
could I could actually
but
attest to that.
yeah, but again, okay, again, part of the problem is the bad choices that are made. Okay,
But
and
then but
part of it
then
has,
but then you have to look at the generational stuff too. Like for example, yeah, like if you actually look at, I mean, the scope of some Hispanic and some African American families, right?
yes,
You have like, okay, like maybe and I was just doing this like as comparison because I read a lot. Like in the 50s and 60s, right? You had more black people who were married and they had like their homes and stuff. But even then, sometimes in those homes, there was stuff that men did, and women thought that that was supposed to be the norm.
hmm
Now you have now in 2022, like you have certain people who are just single parents, Hispanic or Latino, and because the norms that worked for men that, during the 50s and 60s are not working now because women have more knowledge of self and they want to be treated better. But then there's some women that do not have a knowledge of self. They just go off by emotions. They're not really emotionally mature. And if a person is not emotionally mature or have emotional intelligence, that's why you see a lot of these um stuff happen with children.
Hmm.
So that's my point in it.
Yeah. I mean, when everything is said and done, I'm going to use a term that some people they do not like: accountability. And what
Exactly.
that means is
You have to
owning up to the actions that you took.
exactly.
Okay.
Because if we're not accountable for anything, we're gonna keep doing the same stuff until you hold up the account. You're accountable for what you did and how you're gonna go from there.
Yeah. Because look, of course, we hear about the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Okay. And now, don't get me wrong. There are some men, well, some males that are not responsible. We all know that. However,
Yes,
there are men who are responsible. They handle their own business. They are intelligent. They know what they want. They are positive role models. Okay.
right.
Unfortunately, today, or we hear about, oh, man ain't ish, man ain't this, man ain't what have you. Okay. And and the reality is this: people have made bad choices. Now I see here there's another comment. Okay. This generation of women are not mature at all in their thinking. Men are also in this category. But like I said before, we know this about men. We are afraid to say it towards women. I mean, look, we what among many of the things that Kevin Samuels said when he was alive, okay, that for some modern women, accountability is like kryptonite. It's a weakness. Heaven forbid, some people have to admit that they're the cause of their own problems. And the unknowns who said there are outliners in the generation of women, but it's few and far between. Okay.
I mean, with unknown, I could actually agree because yes, like in my personal experience, right? You have some grown women, right, that they could do the worst to you on anything. And I was just talking to a friend about this because me and him have been in similar situations in the past. Like you have some women that they'll try to do the worst just because of the hold that they think that they have on you or such. But then after a while, the hold that they have on you, when you do what they did to you, oh, now you're the worst person ever. But yet there's the one that went up and came with the disrespect in the first place. When the fact is, you didn't come with the disrespect. But then with their how should I say, now that you have some women and men too, but you have some women that they think that they have a hold on you. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm the man in the relationship. Now he's younger or whatever the case may be. I could do whatever the heck I want. But then when you
Mhm.
see, but when the person they come up with psychological attacks against you, like, and people don't know it. Like for example, you have men that could be the best person ever. They could work, take care of their children and everything. But if a woman is like has more financial gain than you or anything like that, oh, this is what will happen. I'm just saying, like as far as my experience, then you'll be like, okay, you're cheating, or if you come home late, It's not like, okay, babe, you come you come home late, it's all right. They're like, oh, you're cheating, and all these accusations. After a while, when you actually sit back and analyze, it's actually, how should I say, they try to victimize you to the point that, okay, and manipulate you to the point like, okay, this is how life is supposed to be. I get accused every day for nothing, and it gets to a point that a man is not going to take it anymore. And then
Okay.
when that man doesn't take it no more, the next thing you know, you're the enemy.
Okay, I just
And
want to acknowledge. Okay, excuse me. I don't mean to
all
interrupt. I
right,
just want to acknowledge that the 18th brother is in the house. Good evening, Joaquin.
good evening, Rakeem.
Hey, what's up? What's up? How's everybody doing today?
We're doing all right. How was
Okay.
your Labor Day?
Oh, it's all right, man. I can't call it. I can't call it. What about yourself?
It was all right. At least I ate some steak.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Got a little bit of barbecue myself.
Gotcha.
Well, well, in my case, on Saturday I went to see a movie for the first time in 3 years. Sunday I
What
went
movie
to
did
a
you go
barbecue
see?
with the new Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man can never return home, something like that. It was pretty
Oh
good.
yeah,
I mean, it was
oh yeah. I never went to see it. I went to see something like 3,000 Years Along with my wife. My wife didn't
yeah.
like it, but I liked it because of the historic documentation that this guy been through. Um,
Okay.
but then after I went to the movies, there was there was like a whole big fight that broke out on Market Street, and also was like a whole bunch of cops around there.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's
And
crazy.
yeah. So and then on Sunday we had a barbecue, and most of the family went, and we it was a time to gather and have some you know good times, and we had a nice time. And then yesterday, believe it or not, on Labor Day, I actually did overtime and I worked.
Great.
I mean, you gotta earn the money whenever you can. Joaquin, tonight's topic is that society places unrealistic expectations on men. What are your thoughts on the topic?
My thoughts on the topic is absolutely, but it's not just, this is not happening naturally. This is all by design. Unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic society, and when the capitalists decided to come up with a marketing plan to market towards women, that they didn't, need men, that they can, be independent, that a lot of women are equal to men. That's when society started slowly to collapse, because when you watch things on television, when you watch ads, when you watch commercials and all of this stuff gears towards, creating this um creating this illusion that women are equal to men, people start to believe that. It became a very profitable business where multiple people have profit off of that. You've had people that cater to women by making self-help books, or saying that you can be anything a man can, or you have even other men like Steve Harvey with his Think Like a Man book, and different talk shows, TV shows, movies. Has become a very marketing business, and it has been for quite some time. Now we're slowly starting to see things collapse because of everything that's been taking place, whether it been um, the brainwashing of society to the judicial system in the United States when it comes to marriage and child support, even to the way that a lot of these young men are being raised to have more feminine tendencies and more emotional. And now society is realizing what has happened, but it's become too late because we subconsciously absorb everything that's being marketed to us. And this is the end result, unfortunately. And a lot
All
of
right.
women
Yeah.
even are realizing that, because they realize that they've been tricked, and they've been instilled with a false sense of confidence until it gets really real, or they're in the presence of danger, or they're forced to learn how to use a power generator if power go out, or they don't know what to do if their water is bad and it's too dirty to even boil it. So that's where we at now.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's to, I mean, Rakim, it's to the point that it's like if you like, okay, like in the past when it was politics, certain people they knew how to be civil, but they could actually discuss politics without defaming each other or anything like that. Now it's to the point that you see grown men acting like little emotional kids, defaming each other and everything like that. And I could remember there was a time in politics, yeah, you might have said what that person's not doing or whatever the case may be. But you didn't have to go and personally insult that person just because they had a different viewpoint than you. At the end, if that person had a different viewpoint, it was still respect at the end. Now I see that certain people, they can't really debate. Or if you actually debate, 9 times out of 10, there's a headache because you know that person still has a childish mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that what you're seeing now is that when we was growing up, it was everything was on television, so you had to carry yourself a particular way. You have to be more politically correct. Now, with the emergence of the internet, what you're seeing is people coming up that don't have to be politically correct or are not known to be politically correct. And they have more influence than the television industry now, than, show business. So now what you're seeing now is show business is trying to keep up with YouTube and these different places where a lot of people that were um, at one point in time nobodies that are now somebodies because of their influence on YouTube or social media, that television feels like they got to do what they're doing because they're trying to keep the attention span of the new generation. So they're trying to ratchet things up when it comes to politics and throwing mudslinging. Back then mudslinging was more of a they was more articulate with the way that they did it.
Exactly.
Where they
That's what
where
I was
they can
trying to say.
yeah where they can throw cheap shots, where they can throw cheap shots actually being too without being too like colorful in their language and everything like that. But those times are done because people that was in show business didn't expect for social media to have more influence than them. So now they're trying to play catch up.
I
Right.
mean, I don't know if you recall that during the 2008 election, John McCain had to check one of his supporters because one of his supporters was saying some crazy stuff regarding Barack Obama, saying that he's a Muslim, that he's not an American. And John McCain actually had to put her in check and said to her, I disagree with what Barack Obama believes in, but he's a decent human being. It's just that we have a disagreement regarding what is the appropriate course of action for our country. I mean, and that's sad because that was 14 14 years ago. I mean, it seems like a lifetime when you think about a situation um, where where you can disagree but be respectable. Nowadays, it's basically you can it's there's no holds bar. You can say whatever you want, and people will accept it as gospel.
I
And
Well,
mean,
another thing,
the
I'm
problem with that is the
yeah,
problem with that is that what we saw when Barack Obama was elected, even though I didn't agree, in the beginning, of course, I thought Obama was going to do more than he actually did. Voted for him because he was considered the first, black president, but that turned out to be a debacle. But see, a lot of people point to Trump and they say Trump is the one that fueled, a lot of what's going on as far as people's prejudice and bigotry. But really, Obama predates Trump, and that's when you started to see a lot of things change as far as the way things were addressed politically and the way things were addressed with Barack Obama's presidency. So that kind of what sparked the dynamite for what we're dealing with right now. But now,
mhm.
I think a lot of Americans realizing that you have a lot of capitalists that are hoarding the finances. So now it's getting to a point where people are throwing, what's the word I'm looking for? People are throwing like how the way you carry yourself. People are throwing that out the window, and because people are frustrated. It don't matter what group you are. A lot of people are frustrated. It's a lot of people that's in the Appalachians and that worked in steel mill towns and factories. A lot of those factories and steel mills are shut down. A lot of those auto plants that produce vehicles and everything have shut down. So people's livelihood is uncertain, and that is always can fuel rage. And then on top of it, people are going online and they're being indoctrinated online. So now it's just
Yeah.
kind of like don't nobody care.
All
But
right,
but you know
so
what? I'm sorry if I can just cut in. But you know what's amazing is that you have a lot, you have a considerable number of men, and when I mean men, I'm not talking about African American men. I'm talking about men in general that they're going outside the United States um, to try to find many of them to try to find their lifetime partners, and how you have some mother women are trying to shame them for simply trying to explore their options. Um, I mean, heaven forbid that she, sit down and think, what am I doing that's causing these men to reject me and go to the Caribbean or Latin America or even Asia? Okay, but unfortunately, accountability is like kryptonite. And I know some people are gonna hate me to say it for saying this, but guess what? Kevin Samuels spoke about this considerably. And if you saw any of his call-in shows, I mean, women, some women will call and like you know try to justify their activity or their stupidity, depending how you want to look at it.
I mean, if you actually look at it, right, that that aspect of men going outside the Caribbean, Asia, whatever the case may be, to find other women, and those women are shaming them for it. I mean, you have two types of women that will shame for it. You have the woman that will shame a guy that they never gave a chance to. But then when that man goes, I guess with enough education or with more foresight to explore the world, and he find a woman that he likes that fits into his value system, or she treats him better than a woman there. When those women see that a man and a woman, whatever the case may be, have a better relationship, they want to come with the gripe, oh, these men are going to stuff and they're getting women. But if you actually look at it, those are the same women that actually fuel sex tourism in the Caribbean and, well, I'll just say the Caribbean, because I don't see a lot of American and European women going to Asia looking for a guy. I'm just saying the Caribbean. They actually fuel the sex tourism within South America and the Caribbean. So therefore,
Well,
there's a double. So therefore, you have some of those women that they're talking out their mouths, but yet they want to shame a man just for looking for somebody outside his culture or outside his country. But yet, those will be the same women that they'll be having like a girls' night out, or healing with the women and stuff. The like women heal and stuff. When the fact is, they're actually having fun just like the dudes.
yeah, I just
I'm
wanted
just I'm
I
I'm
just
I'm
wanted
I'm,
to
I'm,
step in. I wanted
I'm
to
just
step
keeping it
in on what
real.
Don was saying. Yeah, they do go to Europe. They go to Greece and they go to Italy a lot of the times looking for Mediterranean men to, play house with for a few days. Um, yes, that happens a lot. See, the thing is, I don't really listen to what a lot of. I'm sorry, not, and this is not for. I love women. Don't ever get that misconstrued. I love women, but a lot of these women, I know what the core thing is about. The core issue is about power. They feel like they have power over these men, and they want to really force the men to deal with them no matter what they put the men through. So now that they feel like that they're being challenged and other women is their competition, that's when the shaming tactics become involved. A lot of women have been doing this on girls' trips. A lot of women sleep around on girls' trips. Their girlfriends may not say anything. They may not, ever bring it up. We know what goes on girls' trips. A lot of women have one night stands with men wherever they meet them, and that's that. Hell, there's even been documented cases of women bringing back venereal diseases from men that they may have dealt with when they was out and about. A lot of women go to Jamaica, especially. Um, you have a lot of women that go and they prey on men that are in a impoverished financial state to be able to, pretty much look for their gigolo. So of course, it's going to be a lot of women talking out both sides of their necks because they're trying to shame men to get men to do what they want them to do. So I don't really listen because with a lot of these women, they lie. They're very manipulative, and it's all about power with them. And since they can't physically force you to do anything, then they try to use a lot of shame and tactics and manipulation
Yeah, I mean,
to be able
yeah,
to get you to side with them on this power dynamic.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I actually agree with you with that, Rakeem, because it's like, okay, like when you talk about the races and everything, it's to the point that you got I don't know if you call them ADOS or FBA or HOTEPs or anything like that. But I remember a few years back, right? I was just talking my piece about something. Then you got these super emotional black men who are telling me that, oh, so why that, and I guess they saw a picture of me and my wife, right? They was like, oh, so what happened that you can't go and date a nice Nubian queen and you have to be a sellout? I had to go around and tell them, like, first of all, I'm not selling out anything. Second of all, if you actually look at my name, I'm Afro Dominican, so therefore I could get whoever I want. Third, at the end of the day, why you want to try to use race on why men are not getting with females, et cetera, 9 times out of 10, I hate to say it, and you have to look at history. None of y'all, the last time I checked, none of y'all were pure black. So if you're gonna come at my neck just because of your preconceived notion of who I am and everything, you have to look at your background. And it's getting to the point
Okay.
that you have certain people who are not taking accountability, but yet they want to use a whole bunch of how should I say, things to facade why they're not really doing well in life. Like
Mm-hmm.
they'll either use the race card. Oh, like that person's not doing anything for my race or anything like that. So therefore, yeah, we're like let's go diss them. Or if they see a mixed couple, they want to try to and chastise them just because that these two people found each other and loved each other. Then then we still live in a quote unquote racist society where they'll show certain images of people who are actually living together and everything, and they're just making it happen. But then you have like maybe a underlying racism within that. And then you have certain people who actually grew up in the civil rights era. If their daughter went up and married a white man, they'll be like, or somebody outside the black race, they'll actually think like, oh, like my daughter's betraying me just because she married somebody outside the race. When the fact is, certain people just don't realize that this is 2022. People, depending if they're of the same race or not, they love each other. So who are
Mm-hmm.
you to go around and tell these people they should not be together or
Okay.
they should not do anything just because of your preconceived notions and of the racism that was taught to you.
Okay. I just want to let anybody, if there's any ladies that is in the audience, if they wish to give a rebuttal of what we are saying, if any lady think that what we're saying is not factual or misrepresentative, you're more than welcome to enter a comment in the chat, or you can also join the panel and express your point of view on why we're not correct. Now, I just want to let everybody know that we all respect everyone's point of view, okay? And you're not going to be chastised if you have a different point of view. I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss it logically as far as why we are stating what we are stating. And again, this is not an echo chamber here. Okay? It's not you're not going to be penalized if you disagree with what we are saying. And the fact of the matter is we just okay.
Well,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gigi. She just said she shared the stream. We just lost Joaquin. And the
yeah, I'm
fact
about
that
to
and
I'm about to
okay,
wrap it up, but it was nice having you on the panel, Don Jose.
well, first of all, thank you very much for stopping by, and of course, before you go, I just want to let everybody know that Don Armando has his own channel. Okay, so if you have not done so, please subscribe and check out his content. Okay. Thank you very much, Don Armando, for your commentary. And do you have anything you wish to add before you depart?
Yes. Women and men, we have to do better. We have to hold each other accountable. And on the day that we do hold each other accountable, it will be better for our children. We need to stop the violence, and we need to talk more, because if we if we don't talk, all these all these immature things that are happening now in our society is going to continue happening until certain people will not know how to actually be civil or talk their ideas anymore. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Stay blessed, people.
Take care. Be safe.
You too.
Thank you. So, if anybody else wishes to join the panel, by all means, they can do so. Okay. And the fact of the matter is this: we need to have these discussions. Okay. Men need to have their own space. We need to have our own space to share our point of view and express what we believe. Sometimes people try to shame us for for what we for what we espouse and what we believe. Okay. Now I'm just going to get off topic briefly by stating the following: every group needs to have their own space to discuss the issues, whether it be FBA, ADOS, Latinos, African Americans, men, women, and of course, the Golden Spirit. Okay. I know that there's still some preconceived conceptions regarding them. All I'm going to say is before you make a judgment call regarding any group, spend some time with the group itself. Try to interact with some of the people, and then you make your own determination. I'm not here to put any group on a pedestal. Um, and again, here on this platform, It's not a male platform. It's not a female platform. It's not a Latino platform. It's definitely not okay. And it's not a Golden Spear platform. It is a people platform, meaning everyone who is willing to discuss things logically and intelligently and with some knowledge and some facts, they're more than welcome to my platform. They're more than welcome to my cyber home. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share what I'm going to be talking about regarding Thursday stream. So, basically, for those who are not familiar, this is a two-part series when we're dealing with male issues. The second part is going to be what actually makes a positive male influence or a male image, and the reason why that's being discussed because unfortunately in some circles men are not looked well. Men are looked with a certain amount of disdain and disrespect, particularly regarding some groups that they're a small minority, but nevertheless, if they have their way, we will not be around. This does not reflect all women, but it's time that men be allowed to express their point of views. So on Thursday stream, I'm going to be sharing some my reflections. What makes a positive male image? I will be live Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And on Friday, I will have open discussion. And what that means, open discussion, that means we will talk about just about anything that's on your mind as long as we could engage in a dialogue, not a monologue. Okay. Unfortunately, we have certain YouTube channels where it's basically a monologue and it is an echo channel. That was never the goal of this platform. It was never be the goal of this platform. The whole point is to have conversations regarding everyday issues and trying to find logical solutions. So I will be live Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Friday, I'll be live on either 7 o'clock or 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I will finalize the time when I go live on Thursday. And this Saturday, I'm going to participate in what's called the Labor Day Parade. Okay. And the whole purpose of the parade is to honor the working man and those of us who happen to belong to a union. Okay. I did have a stream regarding unions, I believe it was last year. Okay. I don't think I'm going to talk about the topic again, but there's a stream. There's a stream. If anyone wishes to um, partake of the stream, that they may do so. In any case, seeing that there's no one else that's going to join the platform, I'm going to call it a night. First of all, as always, I thank everyone who appear on the chat, which is the unknown, Gigi, Rakim, let's just see, Reese from Philadelphia, and Pokemon. I'm not sure. I think this might have been his first time on this platform. If I'm not, I apologize. But in any case, Pokemon, just want to let you know that you're always welcome on this platform to express your point of view and your interaction. Now, I do know some people, for whatever reasons, prefer to enter their comments in the chat and not get on the panel, which is fine, okay? Because you are contributing to the discussion by your comments. And I also wish to thank Danamondo and Luck and the 18 Leather for appearing on the panel. So that being said, I just want to thank everybody who actually took the time to watch the stream, okay? Because there are literally millions of YouTube creators where you could have partake and then receive their content. But the fact of the matter is you decided to devote something that you're never going to get back, which is your time, to listen to me and listen to my guests speak on the topic. So I just want to say thank you very much for all the love and support. And before I go, if you're not done so, please subscribe to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Whenever I do prepare content, please give a like, and I would appreciate it if you would set the notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do go live, you will have the opportunity to either watch this live or watch this on the playback. And I want to let everybody know that you can also enter a comment after the stream is over. And I'm sure there's going to be other people which will watch the stream in the playback. So again, I just want to say thank you very much for all those who gave of their time to watch this humble person speak. So that being said, I'm going to close the same way I always close, which is the following. Do not let the errors of the past damage your future. And we must do everything possible to minimize our content with the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. And again, if you're looking for something that's educational, that give you food for thought, I will strongly recommend subscribing to Uncommon Sense. That being said, I'd like to thank all of you very much, and I'm going to wish you all a very good night. Take care and peace.
Get strong. Get strong. Get strong. Get strong. Get strong.